All right, so this blog is for some really obvious and others not so obvious. I think we all struggle with this in one way or another. I think that we're all on the spectrum of self-hatred. So bear with me. If this doesn't feel like it resonates, maybe stick around for a minute and just see. So self-hatred. What is it that I mean by self-hatred? I would say that that's a poor relationship to yourself, the body that you're in, and an unhealthy relationship to this life that you're experiencing. So that to me would translate to self-hatred. Kind of a strong word in this blog, in this video, but it translates, trust me. So why is it you can't hate yourself into peace? Like I have a lot of new clients and potential clients that reach out to me that have a lot of negative self-talk, negative way of viewing the world or themselves, beating themselves up. So all of that fits in the self-hatred category. Again, I realize that's a very strong word and term, but again, hang in there. Most people think self-hatred means just outwardly hating yourself, right? In hearing it in people. And I want to say that there are people that outwardly do that. Not always. Sometimes it's very quiet and maybe behind closed doors, or maybe just again in their inner thoughts, right? The automatic negative thoughts. But really what I point to in this blog and this video is it really means that really the underlying layer is believing that you're not enough. Okay. And I think everyone struggles with not being enough in one or more area of your life. I think that's probably been the biggest, ugliest, hairiest thing in my closet is not being enough, being told that throughout my entire childhood, literally, and through behaviors I really struggled a big part of my life through achievement, through awards, through making my body look perfect in many different ways and areas of my life, wanting validation and wanting to feel enough. So I didn't know that looking back. I didn't know that that was kind of the paradigm running underneath everything. But, some of the ways that it shows up in common everyday situations is, hearing maybe a compliment, um, and not being able to take it in as a gift. I've worked on that significantly. In fact, there was a situation 3 weeks ago that I got 3 different people that shared with me on a phone call how much gratitude and appreciation they had for me and how they view me. These 3 people have been in my life for a long time. And these 3 people, basically, they were a reference for me. And all 3 of them were interviewed as a reference. And they wanted to reflect on what questions were asked and what was said. And I felt my body want to collapse, to be honest with you. But what I love about that is it made me realize I need to put myself in situations where I get more compliments and inoculate myself or exposure therapy myself to receiving those gifts, to see what other people see in me and be able to receive compliments from a high regard and take them in as a gift and thank them. Because if you're not able to receive a compliment, really someone is quite literally giving you a gift and you go, "Rah!" You throw it back at them and say, I don't want this gift. So you really want to have the skill and the ability to receive compliments. But if you have something running, in your identity that you're not enough, or your beliefs or your thoughts, and you have a lot of self-hatred, you won't be able to receive compliments. You won't be able to take them as a gift, and you won't be able to give people compliments likely, or maybe you do, but maybe are they genuine? I don't know. Oftentimes it's paradoxically one of the same. So not always, but Do you ever replay conversations for hours, ones that have happened or ones that are going to happen? Maybe you replay them over and over again. I should have said this, I could have said that, I should have said that, or I should say this, or what should I do? A lot of shoulding yourself. That will be pretty common for those that have not enough, playing in the undertone of their reality. Feeling guilty for resting, feeling a lot of guilt or shame in areas of your life. Not able to slow down, not able to take a rest day, not able to, like, rest just seems bad or failing or wrong. That could be, again, that self-hatred and not enoughism that is running that behavior. And also maybe in that same thread is believing that others deserve rest and you don't, or others deserve more grace or gentleness than you. Maybe there's, in your thoughts, there's a flavor of brutality, harshness, pressure, force type language or feeling, right? Sometimes a lot of clients, when I first start working with them, don't realize that thoughts are creating their feelings. They just feel a certain way and they want that to stop or don't understand it. So what's happening, right? What's happening when we live in a natural or a default of self-hatred, not enoughism, not can't rest, everyone else deserves more than me, life's not fair. So what is happening? It's not that you're broken, it's not that you're lazy or not needing fixed. So many people come to me and like, fix me, fix me. You're not broken, you never were. The mind, okay, the mind has learned to see itself as a problem. So you'll hear me say self-deprecating. With a lot of my clients, they hear me call it out. Oh, that's a self-deprecating thought. That's brutality. Look at that inner thought. That's brutal. Oh, that's harsh. That's demanding. That's pressureful. That's painful. That is creating the sense of failure or not enoughism. So self-hatred rarely looks obvious or dramatic. Now, sometimes it does, right? We've all met people that are self-deprecating and very loud about it, but for the most part, it's behind closed doors. I would say it astonishes me after working with clients, especially after, I would say, a few months, where some of this self-hatred will start showing up. So unfortunately, clients that work with me a very short period of time, we may not have enough time unless you have immediate trust in me and really are vulnerable and just barf out your true feelings and thoughts about yourself. Usually it takes months to build up the like, know, and trust in me and rapport to share. But I would encourage you, if you're watching this and contemplating working with me, the sooner we get to the root, the better, the greater change that you're going to see in your life. So again, the self-hatred often isn't dramatic. It isn't obvious. It's usually behind closed doors. It's behind, it pops up in the silence of the day, the quiet of the day, which may be in the morning or maybe at night. I get clients that are on both sides of that spectrum or in between things throughout the day. Like I say, I would say it does happen sometimes midday for some of my clients, but more often it's morning or evening in the quiet time, in those two spaces. Sometimes self-hatred can be labeled as, well, I'm being logical, or I'm being responsible, or this is just the way I am. This is what's got me success. This is what makes me productive. All language reinforcing and gripping onto the self-hatred is something that's benefiting them. But unfortunately, it creates a life of misery. Really, it creates a lot of heartache, pain, misery, suffering, mental brutality, or imprisoned by your mind, or in your own way. I could say it a million different ways. So it's not fun. It can also create a hyper vigilance or a hyper independence. So somebody that has a very harsh inner critic or inner dialogue, self-hatred flavor, of language or thought patterns or loops can be very hyper independent too. They'll usually are very judgmental in their thought processes, judgmental of themselves and others, right? We're all walking projections. So how you think about yourself in your life, you're going to project outward onto others. So you're going to have a harsh judgment about anything and everything, from witnessing someone leave a grocery cart in the grocery store parking lot and making a bunch of judgments about that, to how people dress and what they say and how they act, how they behave. I mean, the self-judgments and judgment externally can be very, very loud, um, and create a lot of hate and discontent, to be honest with you. Another way too that I see it is really not happy with self. Again, that relationship to self, the being, the person, and life. A lot of times clients will come to me, and usually the indicator, or really the low-lying fruit, if you will, or the red herring, all to say the same thing, is wanting to improve themselves, never being satisfied with their education, their career, their body, their relationship to their spouse or their significant other, or their relationship with their family, or just there's always something that needs to be improved. There's never a settling. There's never a contentness. There's never a acceptance or peace, or uh, being an okayness, right? Being okay in the okayness. It's this constant, I got to fix this. I've got to do that. I should do this. I should be this way. So it's this constant finish line that can never be reached. And this harshness that there's never satiation, no satisfaction. I know that that was a really big, monumental milestone in my journey, my self-development journey, is I had everything. I checked all the boxes, every single box that is known to man, except for my body. And so I remember exactly where I was standing. I was standing outside, and I thought to myself, well, I've done it all. I've achieved it all. I've been successful in every area of my life based on society and culture. I didn't really say that at the time. Now I look back at it that way. The next thing was like, well, I'll make my body look perfect. So I joined a gym the next day, and 18 months later, I won my first bodybuilding competition. 18 months later, and I would say had joy for 2 days, and then I went plummeting down. I was spiraled downwards into this dark abyss. I don't know what you want to call it. It was really, really bad. 2 days later. So it was way worse than it was 18 months prior. Why? Because I still had the mindset that I did 18 months prior. During that 18 months, I was so distracted with all the things I had to eat, all the things I had to drink, all the things I had to do. My life was, I was almost living two lives. This was a full-time job to chisel my body. So I was extremely, my attention and my focus was completely distracted. So and I got an amazing body. I look back at those photos and just can't believe what I was able to achieve. And I became very addicted to that process too. And I will say I enjoy bodybuilding. And each time I prepare for a bodybuilding show, I get to learn more about myself. I understand more about my patterns, my mindset, how my brain works, what my defaults are, and I'm able to rewire a lot of those on the journey. So a huge, not suggesting go out there and do that, but it is fascinating how real it becomes. So there's also some people that have a lot of self-hatred or self-deprecating thoughts or automatic negative thoughts, believe that there's another version of themselves that would finally make them happy. Right? Sometimes there might be some comparison. They compare themselves to others, or they just have this story that if I looked this way or was this way or had this, I will be happy then or when I have. The sad thing is there's probably people in your life that admire you and think that they'd be happy if they were you. But inside you're battling, you're frustrated, you're exhausted, to be honest with you, miserable. So the mind in this self-hatred space and this consumption of self, your mind is the prosecutor, the jailer, the judge, the jury, everything. Okay. So your mind becomes your prison. So think about it. Think of it in this way. The same mind is accusing you of not being enough. Your same mind is presenting evidence and proof that you're not enough. Your same mind is drawing you back into the past and saying, how dare you, shaming you, guilting you, or even using your past as a new milestone or I wish you were that, or could be back to being that weight or that energy or that whatever. So a lot of times the mind will pull you in the past, it'll pull you into the future, and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's just the imagination, truly. But that same mind is going to sentence you to misery. It's going to sentence you to suffering in the moment now. And the sad thing is here's what I predict, and I'm no genie. I'm no fortune teller, but unfortunately, I think there's going to be, and I know there's going to be a time in your future where you're going to look back on today and go, wow, I had much more than I realized. I will be appreciative and grateful if I was back in those shoes. We don't have a time machine to come back to this moment and do a do-over. So I think when we get into this self-hatred, it's very absent of appreciation and gratitude. And it's a slippery slope in being judgmental of self and having self-hatred, because it becomes addictive, it becomes martyrism, it becomes victimhood. And it can be very a way to connect with other people. It could be a way to commiserate, especially in social media communities, groups, threads, all the things. You can find other people that are in the same misery and suffering as you, and it can be a way to bond and connect. Unfortunately, that keeps that same type of thinking, the self-hatred, the martyrism, the not good enough, alive, because you're connecting and you're bonding over this, I don't want to call it trauma, but you're bonding over this mutual thought loop and pattern. And it reinforces it, unfortunately. When we find other people that are like us, we go, oh, now I don't feel alone. And we bond and commiserate. And we blame and point fingers. And it keeps you trapped. Keeps you trapped. But our mind can be, very convincing, with no jury, no attorney, no self-defense attorney, no evaluation. It can really entrap us. So self-hatred becomes profoundly self-absorbing. And when I first heard this a long time ago, I really thought that doesn't seem right. It almost seems like the opposite, but it's actually, think about it this way. And please don't be offended by this, but self-hatred is very self-absorbing in the way that self-hatred, I guess a lot of times people think of self-hate, the way I'm presenting it is self-absorbing. People think of that as arrogant. No, that's not what I'm pointing to. What I'm pointing to is it's very inwardly focused. Me is another way I say it a lot of times in coaching, when clients will come to me and they'll talk about a situation or circumstance, and it's very self-centered, about self or self-absorbing, if you want to use that term. It is very inwardly focused. It's a very me. This is happening to me. This isn't fair to me. Why am I like this? So it's very me focused. And a lot of times people that are really in this thinking loop or pattern that's self-absorbing or self-hatred will be consumed with what they look like, how they sound, what do people think of them? Am I messing up? Am I a failure? Am I broken? Why am I like this? Every interaction they're very distracted with me thoughts. They're not present in the moment. Because again, right, they're in the past, they're in the future, they're comparing themselves, they have a lot of thinking. so much thinking. But when you're really with someone, let's just say one-on-one with someone, and you're not thinking about yourself, you're in curiosity about the other person. You're wanting to understand or learn from the other person. You're wanting to see things from their perspective. You're wanting to see how they've come up with their way of interpreting things, or what conclusions they've made. You're very much not thinking of self. Okay, so again, it can not only this self focus can create so much misery and discontent in the silence. It actually paradoxically creates a lot of misery with other people, because you're thinking about yourself, all about self. You're consumed by yourself. And I'm not saying that you're self-centered. It's just your mind can't stop evaluating itself. Okay, so how do I measure up? Am I good enough? Am I dressed right? Am I saying things weird? Am I awkward? How are they perceiving me? Again, hear all the me. So my ears are always tuned into that word me. And you'd be surprised at how much, when people really riff and they're just barfing up what their thoughts are about their day, their week, or situation, how much me comes up when there is a lot of unhealthy relationship to self in life. So humility leaves the room for reality. So humility leaves room for reality. I don't know if I said that right. So humility is when we have a lot of humility, we have a lot of acceptance and a lot of peace. And we let life unfold the way it does, and see every situation and circumstance as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to evolve, to become something bigger, better, stronger, braver, more courageous. So self-hatred doesn't, right? Self-hatred is very limiting, and it's very it's just like this tiny, you're in a little box. When you have humility, you're very open-minded, you're optimistic, you're see things as they are. How can I navigate this in a way that it feels like doable or possible? Anything really. But when we have self-hatred and we're doom and gloom in our mind and our thoughts, our natural default is life's not fair. It really doesn't have room for reality. We're fighting reality, to be honest with you. We're dreading the next bad news. We're really bracing for impact. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're just hyper vigilant in a way that's creating a lot of misery and suffering. So here's some examples. A delayed text will instantly, the default will be, oh, well, they don't like me, or they're tired of me, or they're bored with me, or something's wrong with me, and they're sick of me. I'm too much. I'm not fun to be around. Right. So there's a default instant reaction to the smallest, most insignificant things that happen in a daily basis. A mistake becomes, I ruin everything. I'm not good enough. See, I'm bad at everything. This is just the way I am. I'm just awkward and weird, and I can't do anything. Right. See how that is just, yeah. Okay. Not fun. Miserable. Someone that has a lot of self-hatred or negative thought loops, automatic negative thought loops, will take a bad day and this isn't fair. Why is this happening to me? It must be my fault. I always have bad days. You see the repetition. Reality disappears, right? They become consumed into themselves. They go within themselves. Me. Interpretation, stories, imagination gets activated. It really is a very closed-minded, very dark sense of seeing everything. And I will say that our minds are programmed to look at the negative before the positive. So for some, I want to say that, especially if you grew up around a lot of negative language or behaviors, or you were modeled a lot of blaming and complaining and bitching and moaning in your childhood, and that became normalized, or maybe that's the way people are that you're around now, this might be jarring for you. Like, oh, doesn't everybody think that way? I will say that, again, our negative, it is easy. It's a slippery slope into the negative way of thinking. Our brains are designed to keep us safe. And a negative thought loop is by natural default keeping us safe. It's protecting us from being hurt, from our feelings being hurt, from being injured or made fun of or insulted, or, the negative thought loops can be fed rather easily. So I think that that's something I really want to point out is, if we just automatically let our negative default take over, it's a slippery slope, and it gets almost normalized, where we don't know that there's another way to see reality, to see life. We just think, because we've been in that way for so long, that it kind of just takes over. So it does take intentionality to go, oh, look at my thoughts. My thoughts are heavy today. My thoughts are really self-deprecating or making me look pretty bad right now. So it takes awareness, it takes intention to go, well, what's another way to interpret today? What's another way to interpret what's happened today? What's another way to see this bad news as a learning lesson? How can I avoid this in the future? What are my steps forward to support me to prevent this from happening again? How can I set myself up for success to where next time this happens, because it will happen, I receive this news, this bill, this feedback from my boss, whatever it is, in a way that empowers me, right? So it's learning to use your entire brain instead of just the small part of your brain, the amygdala of, I have to survive, I have to fight, flight, freeze, fawn my way through life, and being hyper vigilant and worried and stressed out and annoyed. And yeah, that's not a way to live, not a way to live. So thoughts, oftentimes for individuals that don't know where their feelings come from, thoughts can feel true. Okay, so thoughts can feel true because you're experiencing them in the moment. You feel it through your nervous system. You feel it in your body. You start sweating. Your pulse starts, or heart rate starts going up. Maybe your breathing slows down. Or for me, I hold my breath for some strange reason. I was working on my website yesterday, and I realized I could feel just like the tension rising in my body. And I was like, whoa, look at that. I have awareness when there's a negative feeling starting to rise, and I go, whoa, look at that. And then I kind of check in with my body, and I realized I was holding my breath. It's like, no wonder why I feel activated right now. The website isn't doing this to me. I'm sitting here holding my breath non-consciously. Anyways, that's interesting. But those of you that don't know where your feelings come from, I think you can believe your thoughts, and you can believe that the website is making you feel stressed. The website is making you feel anxious or pissed off, whatever, but that's not where your feelings come from. But think about how many times in your life you've gone to bed convinced, absolutely convinced, that your life was falling apart, convinced that you were going to get fired the next day, convinced that relationship you're in is about to implode. Think about how many times you've gone to bed worried about something. Your imagination is just lit up and thinking the worst when you've finally got to sleep, got a good night's rest, and your same life, your same situation, that same circumstance felt totally different the next day. Maybe it was a couple days later. Maybe you need a couple nights good sleep, hydration, food, exercise, whatever recharges you or regulates you. But days later, hours later, you realize, what was I thinking? What was I believing that had me believing that everything was falling apart? Right. It's a state of mind is what it is. It's a different state of mind. So you absolutely cannot hate yourself and your life into feeling happy. You cannot hate yourself in your life into feeling peace of mind. It's a paradox. It's like impossible. So you cannot hate yourself into peace. I will say that millions, without exaggeration, believe that that is the way to success. That is the way into feeling happy, feeling loved, to feel appreciated, to feel adored, to feel validated, to feel approved of. They spend years, lifetimes, decades in being harder on themselves, thinking, well, when I finally change, I will be happy then. When I finally um, find true love, I will cling to them with all of my might. Well, the sad thing is about that is if you think your happiness is in another human being, once you do find someone, if you're capable of doing that, hating yourself in your life, which to me, I think would repel the right partner away. But let's just say you capture somebody, you're going to be worried and anxious of losing them. And you're going to create this needy, clingy energy that's needing validation and approval on every single day. You're going to be one of those people that has the location on your phone where you know where they are at every single moment. So it's creating more stress and anxiety and worry in your life. You're going to question everything they do and you're going to scare them away. So when you have a really, really healthy relationship to yourself in your life, you're more abundant, you're more willing to receive, you will attract someone into your life to share a life with. Okay. So when you hate yourself into maybe losing body fat percentage, notice I don't say losing weight. I say losing body fat percentage. If you believe that you can hate yourself into being motivated to losing body fat percentages, that's not going to work. That's not sustainable. You can't beat yourself up in your head, in your mind, your thoughts, or your words into losing body fat. You can't. It's not sustainable. It might last a week or two, but unfortunately, what the mind loves, the mind moves you towards what feels good and feels familiar. It takes those two pieces to move you forward. Motivation doesn't occur until you're in action, period. I know you've heard that before, probably 1,000 times, and maybe you nod your head and agree, but behaviors tell me that you understand what I'm saying. So if you still are like, yeah, that makes sense, that's so true, but yet you're waiting to go to the gym, or you're waiting to launch a book, or waiting to launch your business, or waiting to go date somebody until you're motivated, you don't understand viscerally or how to integrate that into your life. You don't know how to implement it. You don't actually take action and see that motivation comes in the flow of life. If you believe that shaming yourself, guilting yourself into becoming better is the way, I'm going to break it to you. That is not a fruitful mission. Okay, so being happy really is, you can be happy now. You can be happy in a concentration camp. I know whenever I say that, everybody goes, oh yeah, Viktor Frankl. Yeah, that is an amazing, incredible book. And so many people I have coached in the past have said, oh, I know that book. That's an amazing book. That was profound. I love that. And then boom, they go back into their life scenario and how miserable they are. And they're not in a concentration camp. So they don't understand. They agree that that book makes sense, that you can be happy anywhere you are in your life. But in their life, that's far distance from being a concentration camp, they're saying that, oh, I'm happy, I'm miserable, everything is happening to me. I will only be happy when I have these 12 things or 25 things. Okay, that you're not computing. You're out of integrity, you're out of alignment. It really is being grateful and appreciative for where you are, acceptance of what challenges you have today. and really setting yourself up for success and creating a life day to day that sets you up to have the best day possible. Okay. So I'm not saying that you have to, um, sleep 18 hours a day or eat certain way or do certain things. Like you got to pick and choose. You got to create the life that works for you. Like I've had clients that come to me that do a lot of audiobooks and social media, and they got these huge lists of all the things that they should do on a daily basis, the meditations, the cold plunges, all these like fad type things, and all these supplements, all these things makes it impossible. Like it would be a full-time job to do all of those things, and it would be burdensome and heavy and I just impossible. So it's no wonder why people come to me and they're saying, I want to do all these 25 things in a day, plus my job, plus socialize, plus workout, plus this, plus all these things. And it's impossible to do all those things. They have such a high bar, high expectation of themselves, this brutality, maybe this militant way of looking at their day and their week, and this very warped idea that when I do all these things that everybody else is doing, then I'll be happy then, right? Because there's this perception on social media that because this person does meditation and cold plunging, not hating on those things, but there's this belief that if I do those things, then I'll be happy, like this person shows me on the screen. Like there's proof, Katherine, that they're happy, they love their life. Why don't do either one of those things? And I love my life. Right. So I guess, it's teach their own, what serves you and what you can logically do on a daily basis, where at the end of the day, you go, man, I did those 5 things today, or those 3 things today. And look at me, I'm proud of my progress. I'm doing things in a repetitive way where my brain loves that, right? The brain loves what feels good and feels familiar, which is, again, repetition is doing things in a way that you do them a few times and it becomes a part of your routine, your ritual, your structure, your day, things that fulfill you, that at the end of the day, you're like, hey, I showed up and I did those 3 things. I'm really proud of myself. And that is the relationship to yourself in your life, building that internal proudness. A lot of times clients that really have a lot of problems with the self-hatred or wanting validation and approval outside of themselves. Sorry. When you believe that you need that, that's a thirst that you'll never quench, ever. What matters more than anything is that you are proud of yourself, you love yourself, and you love your life. If love is a strong word, maybe it's like. But that's the relationship you have with yourself in your life impacts every single area of your life, everything you experience. So shame does not create happiness. Shame will not give you clarity. It will not give you wisdom. It will not create a life that you love. What it does do is it creates tension. It creates pressure. It creates resistance. It creates heaviness, right? So attacking yourself is self-deprecating. It keeps you it's very heavy. It's very energy consuming. Like at the end of the day, you'll be exhausted, you'll be miserable, you'll probably isolate yourself and likely numb out with whatever coping strategy works for you: food, alcohol, drugs, shopping, gambling, whatever. So absolutely no external achievement or milestone or finish line can stabilize the mind that's at war with itself. Okay, so I have a basement full of trophies, battle axes, swords, all sorts of things. Many different areas of my life, I have won many, many achievements, and none of them matter. Nobody remembers them but me. Nobody cares about those but me. So no external achievements come and go. Next, like tissue, right? Blow your nose, throw it away. Next, blow your nose, tissue, throw it away, right? That's what external achievement is it's like Kleenex. You use it and then you throw it away. Use it and throw it away. So internal achievement or proudness or internal joy, loving life, abundance, seeing, being grateful, being appreciative, all of these things are long lasting and they could be fed, because that's the whole Viktor Frankl book is about, is being grateful for rain today or whatever it is. It's been a while since I've read the book. Probably I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna revisit that book. It has been probably 15 years since I've read that book. What it is it's being grateful and appreciative of all the things. Like, you can stop where you are right now and look around you and go, there is something here that I'm grateful for, that at some point in our life that we're going to look back on today and go, man, I wish I would have been more grateful. We can overlook the smallest, most insignificant thing and go, oh, I want more. That's not enough. I need more. You know, there is going to be a point in time in everyone's life when a health scare or health changes, where we realize, oh man, my back stuff is starting to creep back up again, which is lovely. And I'm navigating that in a way that's, working for me. But definitely it has me reflect on, it's been about 10 years since my last back surgery. And so I look back on those 10 years and go, yeah, I really lived life those 10 years. Like, I'm really grateful for being pain-free for about 10 years. Like, that was really incredible. Well, I would say it's probably more like 6. So much appreciation for the advancement in science and doctors and the ability and the things that they can do to relieve pressure, pain, suffering, right? But when I'm in a lot of pain, it has me realize how much gratitude I have for being pain-free, and the days that I am low in pain, to really feel abundant, like internally be grateful and cherish the times that I am pain-free, because I think so much clearer when there's no pain on the undertone. But someone that is at war with themselves will maybe lose weight, or, as I like to say, lower their body fat percentage. And the reason why I say that is because of the language of lose weight. The brain doesn't like any terms of losing. So think about it: lose your life, lose your wallet, lose your house, lose your wife. I'm rhyming. You lose anything, your brain kind of clamps down and it's like gets worried, gets anxious, gets scared. So lose anything, the mind doesn't like that. And lose weight could mean losing water, could mean losing bone mass, could mean losing muscle. It could mean a lot of things. So the number on this guy, I haven't weighed myself in over 8 years. Now, I do when I go to the doctors if they make me, but I don't weigh myself because I don't care for the number that pops up, because I don't feel like it's accurate. What I feel is accurate is my blood work, my blood sugar levels, how I feel physically, energy wise, and how I look in the mirror. Those are all my gauges, if you will, on my health. So I like to know what my body composition is. So losing body fat might be a goal for me, not right now, but at some points in time in the future, perhaps. But if you are at war with yourself, losing weight or losing body fat percentage, and if you do acquire it, you're not going to feel like it's enough. There'll be no finish line. And I see that in a lot of celebrities right now with all the GLP-1s and people, losing a lot of body fat, or actually I would say losing a lot of weight, right? Some of them are losing muscle and bone mass. They have blindness, in my opinion, of what they look like. Right. So some people might call that body dysmorphia. And I will say that that is a real thing. involved in bodybuilding for 12 years, I will say that there's never enough. Like, you get into this headspace of you don't know what you look like. And that's why I think some people have a lot of judgments of people that do get into bodybuilding and how much they post photos of themselves. But it is important along the journey to get outside perspective, and look at yourself side by side through weeks of transition, because you don't know what you look like. You really don't. And so it is important to see the small changes over time. And of course, obviously 3 months, there likely is a big difference. But anyways, if you're at war with yourself, if you build a business, start a business, it'll never be enough if you're at war internally. It'll just be not enoughness across the board. Let's say that you want to find true love and you do find a relationship there, that person will never be enough. You'll feel insecure again, kind of like what I talked about earlier. You'll be clingy, you'll be grabby, you'll be needy, you'll be needing reassurance and validation constantly. Back to receiving a compliment or receiving praise or given positive feedback, your mind will argue with it. You won't you won't believe it's true. Again, not enoughness. So the goalpost will constantly move. So if your relationship to yourself and your life is poor, I guarantee you it'll be difficult in all areas of your life. So some people think they are trying to heal. Notice I put trying quotes. Sometimes they're trying to fix themselves. Okay, so there's a huge difference when you are actively working on your self-development versus trying to fix yourself. A massive difference. Healing yourself and learning and evolving and becoming more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent is messy. It's not perfect. It's wobbly. No part of it is seamless and easy. It's very imperfect. It is learning to become aware of that internal war within. It's getting out of your own way. Okay. So, and again, you're not broken, so you don't need to be fixed. And the word trying to me indicates that you're really not understanding what it takes to integrate self-improvement in your life. It's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's saying, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to maintain an unhealthy relationship to myself in my life, and I'm just going to power through. I'm going to ignore what you say, and I know better and I know different. I'm telling you, there's no momentum forward if you hate yourself in your life. There will be no momentum forward. You'll stay in this circle, in this pattern. You'll continue to believe that I'll read one more book, I'll take one more course, I'll do one more program, I'll go to this retreat, I'll go do these psychedelic drugs. There'll be all these different things that you'll go out there and do, and you'll be lining other people's pockets, believing that something outside of you will finally make you happy. It's never outside of you. The Viktor Frankl book tells you that. It's all inside of you. So people often begin healing in often very unexpected ways. It's usually some insight, an aha moment. And I'm not talking the kind that you see on Instagram Reels or TikTok. It's not, aha, I heard something, or I got a quote and this is a revelation and now my whole life has changed. I know that they say that on those videos and those Reels, when I heard this, it changed my whole life. Well, they're selling you something, so be aware. It's probably a supplement or a program or a course or a book. But people really unexpectedly will shift and change, usually through, sometimes it's an insight, but a lot of times it's through creating, contributing, being more curious, being more lighthearted, building something, learning something, evolving, sharing a skill, sharing a talent, being in life, like falling in love with something, falling in love with space, falling in love with making cakes look like real objects, by volunteerism, by sharing a talent or a skill that maybe has been dormant. For me, I know how to build custom fishing poles. My favorite is fly rods, just so you're aware. I have everything to build them. I love building fly rods. I love anything that's creative. I love painting. I love all sorts of things. But it's interesting whenever I just throw that into a conversation, a dinner conversation with a bunch of strangers or people that don't know me well, and I throw that in there, I usually get a lot of looks. I'm like, what? You know how to build fishing poles? Like, that seems so unique and different. But it is a skill. It is a talent. It is something I learned back when I was 16, 17 years old. Uh, building fishing poles and flies. I don't do flies so much anymore because of the eyes are not as sharp as they used to be. But I do love building. But to me, what is very fulfilling and meaningful and helps me tremendously is of service to others, right? Sharing my skills, my talents, my knowledge, my passion, my life experience, my wisdom with others, by coaching, by teaching, by sharing, by mentoring, being a part of Big Brother, Big Sister, right? Sharing with the world my life experience. Notice how that's not on me. The focus is outside. It is in something that's within me and in sharing that. It's wanting to give those gifts, those talents, those skills to someone else. Because I can't take, I can take them with me, but what good is that? I want to share that with others. And that's very fulfilling, very meaningful, not to get validation, not to get approval, not to get accolades, but to share with no agenda. That's how, for me, that it has majorly changed my life. Not to say that it will for you, but I will say with a lot of clients that I've worked with over the years, the biggest, most profound changes occurred when they stop hating on themselves and their life and really look within and say, what is it that I'm really good at? What am I really passionate about? What are some skills, some talents that I have that I can share with others? And it may be for free. You don't have to do it in a way that's, for gain. I know that consumerism and capitalism is high, but find a way to share that, like create a meetup group or share on YouTube, like what I'm doing here. I think that that's probably a big portion of YouTubers is sharing their skills, their talent. I've watched many of videos where I need to know how to do something and I use that as a resource. It's brilliant. So healthy self-worth comes very rarely from working on yourself harder or beating yourself up. So healthy self-worth or value or identity often appears when you stop making yourself the center of attention or the center of the universe or center of your focus. It's really seeing what is it that you know, what you understand, what is it that is beautiful about you. I'm not talking about the physical sense, but what is it that you're really good at? Or what could you fall in love with and become really good at? Self-hatred is a habit. That's it. Hating on yourself is a habit of thought. It's a loop. Something somewhere you've developed. It's something you've learned, something you've created a pattern on. And here's the reality, it's protected you. I would say for most of my clients, I've actually coached 2 clients that hated themselves into isolation. They lost their job, divorced, friends, family don't talk to them. They've shut them all out, and they really were at their rock bottom. Self-hatred will spiral until you isolate yourself 100%, and 2 people have. And I've coached many people that are on that downward pattern. Okay, so self-hatred is a protection mechanism. It's protecting you from mental, emotional, and maybe even physical pain. That's it. Again, your brain loves what feels good and feels familiar, and self-hatred can feel familiar. It will make your life smaller, smaller, harder, darker, more difficult, more isolating, more heavy, and more suffering. So your mind will not and doesn't quiet through beating yourself up. It actually makes it louder, because that's what you're putting your attention and focus on. So it will focus on that. It will find evidence and proof of that. It will make your life miserable. It's really imperative to understand what creates your experience. It's imperative to understand that your thoughts, moment to moment, either set your heart on fire or send you into isolation and everything in between. So once you understand what creates your emotional experience, how you experience every single moment, when you fully understand that and love yourself and your life, life is grand. Life is amazing. And I wish someone would have told me that 20 years ago. But more importantly, I wish I would have understood that, sought to understand those pieces right there fully, 100%. It took me a good, I'd say 8 years to really figure those things out. And now over the last 5 or 6 years, I've gotten to really understand it viscerally and share it with so many people. So I'm going to end it there because we're right at an hour, almost exactly. Woohoo. Want to hear your comments, your thoughts, your questions, and what I've covered here. And again, I am kind of riffing off of a blog that if you want, check it out. You can read it and perhaps it will answer. There are some FAQs, I believe, at the bottom of it, and it might answer some of your common questions, but love to hear from you guys. I always love hearing from my audience and admirers. But I thank you for your comments, your likes, your engagement, and reach out to me, check in and tell me what you heard, what stood out, what you learned, what you want to hear more about. But I'm here for you. All right. See you in the next one.